Hi everybody, Sarah Outlaw here. Happy Saturday to you all. I wanted to hop on just for a couple of minutes to talk to you about my favorite solutions for digestive issues. A lot of my patients who come in have digestive distress of some kind, and they're not alone. Over 38 million Americans are victims of digestive disorders like Crohn's disease, colitis, H. pylori, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, irritable bowel syndrome, and constipation and diarrhea and those types of things. So my goal as a healthcare practitioner on the holistic end is to help people to be able to find out the root cause of their digestive issues and to correct them naturally without the use of antacids or other dangerous type things to harm their gut, or especially antibiotics. So a lot of these issues are stemming from antibiotic use. So first and foremost, you want to try to avoid antibiotics as much as possible. Most of the time that antibiotics are prescribed, they are not needed. There is a huge overuse of antibiotics in the United States, and people are suffering because of it. So I'm going to give you a couple of my best tips to overcome digestive disorders, and then I'm going to give you some of my favorite standard process products that I use for digestive issues that come through my office on a daily basis. So some of the remedies are avoid the wrong food. So you want to avoid junk food. So when I do my nutritional testing, I am testing for things like grains, like wheat and corn and oats and soy, and those types of grains and foods that can be inflammatory to the gut. And I'm also checking for dairy, because dairy can also be very inflammatory to the gut. I'm also checking for things like meats and oils and sugars, because they are also triggers for things in the gut that you might not want to have happen. So a lot of times people will eat grains and they'll have constipation, and they'll eat dairy and have constipation, or they'll eat sugars and they'll have diarrhea. So you never know what you're going to get, and everyone's so different. So some of my favorite things to avoid are the starchy grains and vegetables, so white potatoes, packaged foods, table sugar, legumes, and soy, and then most dairy. So you definitely want to avoid ice cream, because that puts the sugar and the dairy together. You want to avoid a high amount of regular beef. If you're going to have beef, you want to use organic grass-fed beef, because the omega-3 to omega-6 and 9 ratio is higher, and you want to have more omega-3s in your meats. Conventional meat is not good for you. And so all the study that they did of meats, they did on conventional meat. So when people tell me that meat is bad for them, I just bring forward those studies and tell them it's not the actual meat that's bad, it's the way it was raised and what it's fed. Because if something is being fed corn and soy, and you're sensitive to corn and soy, you are what you eat, right? So when you eat those meats, then you're actually getting those things in your body as well, along with the antibiotics and the hormones. So it's a hot mess with that meat. So just avoid meat. If you can't get organic meat, then just avoid meat altogether, and then I would teach you how to shop a little bit better and eat a little bit better. You want to avoid regular butter and hydrogenated oils and go after the pastured, which is different. So inflammation is caused by too much omega-6 in the diet. Grass-fed beef has omega-3s, as we said. So your kefir, yogurt, hard cheeses, those types of things are things that you could probably add in as long as you test okay for them. And then you want to have salmon, eggs, organ meats as much as you can, non-starchy vegetables, and probiotic vegetables. So yesterday I posted a video on how to make water kefir, and that is a probiotic food. There are also a lot of other recipes on my blog that show you how to ferment other vegetables. So you can ferment carrots, you can ferment green beans, you can ferment pickles, you can make sauerkraut, which I'm going to do a video with soon, because it's super fun and super easy to make, and it's really, really good, and it's really, really good for your gut. So all those fermented type foods are really wonderful to add in. Sometimes, however, if you have an autoimmune disease, eating those foods are not good for you, because sometimes people have a histamine intolerance with an autoimmune disease, and eating those probiotic foods that you make, the fermented foods, actually trigger a histamine reaction. So I can actually help you determine if you have a histamine issue if you come into my office, and we can determine if these probiotics foods are good for you or not. Bone broth can also cause an issue. So bone broth is wonderful for the gut unless you have a histamine issue, because the longer bone broth sits in the refrigerator or on the counter or wherever, the more histamines are formed and the more of a reaction someone may have to it. So your best bet, if you're going to make bone broth, which I will do a video on that as well at some point, is to cool it down and then put it right into the freezer once it's cool, and as soon as you can after it's cool. That way those histamines don't have a chance to form, and there won't be as much of a reaction to that. Okay, herbal teas are also wonderful too. So you want to add in some digestive teas. Ginger is a wonderful herb for digestion. Fennel, fenugreek, those types of herbs, marshmallow root, slippery elm, wonderful for digestion as well. You want to avoid the herbal laxatives long term, so the cascara, those types of herbs you don't want to do on a long-term basis because your gut could get a little bit adapted to them. So let me cover some of the products that I use in my office that are really, really good for digestion. So specifically enzymes. So everyone needs enzymes. If you're not eating leafy greens and fresh vegetables on a daily basis and eating a lot of them, you're not getting enzymes that you need to break down your food. If you don't have enzymes, then the food goes into your body and it doesn't break down fully, which means that you don't absorb your nutrition. If you're not absorbing your nutrition, then you're not getting the micronutrients and macronutrients you're supposed to help your body to function as much as possible. And behind me you can see a little bit with the glare, but the autonomic nervous system runs on nutrition. So if you're not getting the nutrition that you need, then this system doesn't run as well. Organs begin to dysfunction and then symptoms appear. And when you have a symptom, there's been something going on for a while and the body says, hey, here's my white flag of surrender. Can you please fix this for me? So my job is to get underneath your symptoms and find out what's going on with you, and I can find out what's going on in your digestive system. So as goes your gut, so does the rest of your body. So if your gut's not healthy, then you're not going to have good health. That's just the way it is. So there's a gut-brain connection as well. If you're feeling depressed, have foggy brain, have achy joints, all these types of things, your gut is probably to blame. And also, at least 85% of your immune system is located in your gut. So if your gut's not healthy, then you're going to have more things like colds and flus and stomach viruses and all those types of immune system issues that can be avoided if your gut is healthy. So my favorite supplements for gut, I use Multizyme. Multizyme is digestive enzymes, pancreatic enzymes specifically. So when I'm doing my testing and people are having any issues with their pancreas digesting food, any insulin resistance or those type of pancreatic type things, I test them for Multizyme. Multizyme is a wonderful broad spectrum digestive enzyme that you can use for breaking down your food. I also like Enzycor. So Enzycor is another standard process supplement that I use a lot. I actually use it a little bit more than Multizyme with my patients just because it has other ingredients. So it's specifically, it has the L-glutamine in it, which really helps with digestion. It helps to kind of stimulate the immune system a little bit. So I really love that part of this. And this is a vegetarian formula, and it's got lots of vegetables in it. So a lot of times the enzymes are coming from vegetables. So it's a little bit different from Multizyme than Enzycor. So I actually prefer Enzycor. I use it more than Multizyme. I used to use Multizyme a lot more, but I switched over to Enzycor. It seems to test better for me here, at least in New Jersey. I don't know what other practitioners would say. So Zypan is something that I use a lot of. So Zypan is one of my favorite supplements because it's hydrochloric acid. So everyone and their mother is on antacids, right? Prilosec, the purple pill, all these stupid antacids that drive me crazy, popping Tums every once in a while or all the time or whatever. It's the number one thing that people are taking over the counter too to squash acid. Well, guess what? We don't have an acid problem. We have an acid production problem. So what's happening is that the body's throwing up all this acid, but it's not excess. Your body's trying to make more of it because it needs more of it, and then you're squashing it, and then it makes more and more, and then all the balance of good acids in the body is off. So then what happens? You kill the acid in your stomach, and then all the acid in the lower gut where it's supposed to be is also killed, and then your body can't break down your food. And then bacteria starts to come in, and that's why we have all these issues. So that's why people have H. pylori, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. We have all of these digestive issues that are coming from us squashing all the acid that we need to break down the food and keep the good acid balance. So we have to have, have to be more alkaline in the top section of our stomachs, but down the bottom of that gut, we need to have that acidicness, because we have to break down in the, at the sigmoid colon area especially, we have to be able to break down the meats and the rougher foods to be able to eliminate properly and actually absorb the nutrition. So Zypan is something that I take especially when I travel. So after a meal, after traveling, so I'm going to Florida again next week, so after I eat, I'll be taking 2 Zypan every time. It helps my body to digest the food. If there's anything in the food that's questionable, it helps my body to eliminate that, and it also helps to prevent against parasitic infestation, because your body's going to be having the right acidic balance. So parasites can come into the body when your body's not balanced. So if your body's balanced with the right balance of acids and alkalinity, then you're not going to have that parasitic issue as much, at least. So that is what I do for that. So some people come in, they really have major issues with acid. So I use something from MediHerb called High Pep, and it's herbal, which is wonderful. So it's licorice root, chamomile, meadowsweet, and chamomile essential oil. So it's a wonderful soothing supplement for the entire esophageal area. So when people get that burning or that burping up, and it feels like they're on fire in the bronchi area, that really helps with that. So I usually do this on a short-term basis. A couple other supplements that I use depending on what's going on. A lot of times if people have lower gut pain, I'll use something called okra pepsin. Okra is very slippery, right? So you have that slippery okra and the pepsin, which is very soothing as well. It actually soothes the entire intestinal tract so that things can flow through nicely. There has never been one case of Crohn's disease, colitis, irritable bowel syndrome, H. pylori, C. diff, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Did I say irritable bowel syndrome? I think I did. That I haven't been able to handle here at the office because I know very specifically what I'm looking for. I test very specifically, and I know how to test specifically for the right supplementation and the food. So we have our whole food supplementation, which are the replacement parts your body needs to fix what's going on. Then we have our whole food that we're eating. That married together is the perfect recipe and the perfect prescription for good gut health. So if you have any questions on gut health, leave them for me in the comments so that everybody can hear your question. I can answer publicly. If you have any digestive issues at all, or if you have children who have digestive issues, I have been able to handle little babies and toddlers pretty much incurable cases of constipation where they're in so much pain in just a couple of short weeks by handling the underlying issues. So I can help you. I can help anyone with digestive issues no matter what they are. Give me a call at the office, area code 856-667-6805. Shoot me an email, info@nhicSouthJersey.com. Visit our website at www.nhicSouthJersey.com or our Facebook page. And give us a call. There is no reason to be uncomfortable. You should feel awesome after you eat your food. You should look awesome, and you should always be having a good day. You shouldn't be like moody and all that stuff. And that all stuff stems if you have a stomach ache, you're not feeling well. So I can help you with all those things. I hope this helped you a little bit with learning about digestive health. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Have a great weekend, you guys.